The American Game Dog Podcast. This is an exclusive interview with Jessie, Alicea, the passionate owner and steward of the American Preservation Dog Registry. As a dedicated advocate for the American Pit Bull Terrier, Jessie has stepped up to lead APDR in its mission to promote responsible breeding, preserve breed integrity, and foster a positive community around these remarkable dogs. With his deep-rooted history in the breed and commitment to education and events, Jessie brings invaluable insights into the world of American Pit Bull Terriers. Today, we'll explore his personal journey, the inner workings of running a registry, the APDR breed standards, the origins of his organization, GAMECHANGERS, his favorite bloodlines, and much more to uncover the heart and soul of this iconic breed. How you doing today, Jessie?
I'm doing good, bro. How you doing?
Much, man. I'm doing good, man. Glad to have you on today, man.
I appreciate you.
It's been a long time coming, man. I know the people going to enjoy this one.
I hope so. Hopefully we give them a little bit of what they've been wanting to know, what they've been wanting to hear.
Sir. Yes, sir. Well, with no further ado, man, I'm going to go ahead straight into the question so we get this thing underway.
All right.
All right. Can you share how you first became involved with the American Pit Bull Terrier breed? What sparked your initial interest in the breed?
Okay, well, I'm third generation in these game animals, you know what I'm saying? Game File, American Pit Bull Terrier, and other working breeds were part of my family. And my family history, you know, I'm Puerto Rican, so, you know, it's deep rooted in our lines, grandfather, you know, other family members. But I personally own the American Pit Bull Terrier on my own, as far as, you know, buying my own since I was about 14 years old. And I've just been around them in some type of way or capacity since then. Total of, 4 decades now with these animals.
Man. Gotta love it.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, man, it's been a long time, bro.
Yeah, man. What was your very first American Pit Bull Terrier like? And how did that experience shape your connection to the breed?
Let's see. My memory is bad. But I can tell you, I can tell you one of my first experiences that made an impression on my mind early on. Man, I remember being like 6, 7 years old, living in Chicago, and we had some neighbors who was part of, you know, the Mexican mafia. Later in my life, I found out and realized what they was a part of, and that they was, you know, up there on top of one of the biggest cartels ever. You know what I'm saying? But anyways, I remember them having this beautiful black and white pit bull in their backyard, and you know, in the city, you know, backyards ain't nothing but, you know, they small. So, you know, They was right next to us. You know, I would see this dog every single day. And, you know, me and my friends as kids, we'd run back and forth through the corridors between their house and our apartment building. And, man, we would throw the ball at each other playing catch. And you could just see this beautiful specimen of an animal, man, just jumping up, trying to catch the ball. Man, it was an amazing sight to see, man. And we would have, in the city, we would have, like, alley cats come through. And, man, you would see him, like, from watching us playing the ball to when he seen a cat or another animal, you would just see him switch. You know what I'm saying? He'd become super serious and try his hardest to get out that yard. And, he put an impact on my mind where, you know, I kind of really fell in love with his mindset, his agility and, you know, ability to turn it on and off. That was one of the real early ones that I can remember, especially, you know, not being one of the ones, you know, of my own or family members. But that dog right there, man, I just remember it like it was yesterday.
Man, crazy, man. All us, you know, get introduced to the breed in crazy ways, man.
Oh yeah, and it's
Uh,
crazy how you could just see the switch, man. From when me and my friends was playing around, you could see, as soon as he seen another animal, you just seen that switch in his eyes and his behavior.
yeah, man. It's one of a kind.
Oh yeah, for sure, for sure.
Definitely one of a kind. Uh, Over the years, how has your personal history with American Pit Bull Terriers evolved from owning them to becoming a key figure in breed preservation?
Oh man, it's evolved, man, from just being basically a lover of the breed and being around it to I remember going to the bookstore in the mall, man, and see what new books they had on the pit bull that were out. Whether it was Richard Stratton or Dr. Carl Semensic, that type of books, or going out to Barnes and Nobles and seeing if they had any pit bull magazines or books out. And I remember going into like the Dog World magazine and looking for the inside there for the ads. They would always have the Jenny York was one of the first ones I seen. She had Amstaffs and pit bulls. She was one of the first and actually one of the only. And then you would see others like Land of Giants, stuff like that inside there. But man, from there to reaching out, being around prominent dog men growing up, and different figures in the history of the pit bull. From there to being around some prominent animals that were known worldwide, being a part of their history. Also being around, a lot of older figures who taught me history of this breed. I've always felt, some type of way, felt like a historian of the breed, just from studying as much as I can on them, learning as much as I could, reading, asking questions, listening, and even more, man. One of the most important things you could do in my day, growing up with this breed, was to you'd go and visit an old timer, you know, and you kind of earn your dues, ask them where a rake was at, go out there and rake and just sit there, earn your time and respect, listening to them, earn a story or two, what I'm saying, and let them know, they would see that you were serious about it. But
Yeah,
from that to being an actual part of a lot of history, man, that others read about, change it from being, the one asking questions to being the one answering a lot of questions,
yeah,
teaching and trying to preserve the breed. So man, it's evolved a lot. It's been a
yeah,
big, and it's still evolving. You know what I'm saying? It's one of those things you
yeah.
never. I think you should never stop learning with these animals.
What about that? It's really becoming like a staple in America, a piece of American history. That's what those dogs are.
Facts,
Uh,
facts.
yeah, man, it's real interesting, man. Very interesting.
It's one of those things where you can almost go anywhere and walk one of these dogs, and you just see either an old timer or just anybody just sit there and ask you about it, and a lot of people, it's almost to the point where like 9 out of 10 is gonna see they're gonna have their own story on the dogs and the breed.
Yup. Yeah, man, it brings a lot of people together.
Oh yeah, for sure, for sure. Huge,
Sir.
huge gathering of people that you wouldn't usually see hang out with each other or be around each other. It brings a lot of people around just for this one animal.
Yup. Uh, Before taking ownership of the APDR, what roles did you play in the pit bull community, such as when it comes to breeding, showing, or advocacy?
Okay. I mean, I've always seen myself and felt myself as an advocate of the breed. Um, from helping to write to governors and different lawmakers on trying to keep certain laws from passing. Excuse me, to making phone calls, man, writing emails to help remove bans in different cities and states. I've shown dogs for a while, but I'm mainly known from coming from a group of like-minded friends and mentors, and we were all known for conditioning. I've also been, known for my experience and expertise on medical things related to these animals. animal husbandry, that type of stuff.
Yeah.
And I've also been a person that's huge on bringing our community together, man. A lot of times, like we was just talking about, but a lot of times we see huge divides in our breed, whether it's race, economy, economics, even down to registries. But I've always been
Right.
the person to bring us together, acknowledge and show love for a lot of our elders, who sometimes don't get the acknowledgement or the flowers that they deserve. So yeah, man, it's definitely a big thing. Community is a huge thing to me, man. And
Yeah.
trying to be an advocate for the breed and take my place in that, and hopefully pass it on one day.
Sir, that's the goal. Yes, sir. Um, are there any pivotal moments or mentors in your pit bull journey that profoundly influence your perspective on the breed?
Yeah, I got a few mentors. They've also been, my brothers. We call each other family, pretty much. As well as other brothers who I can bounce ideas off of, knowledge and work off of. But as far as mentors, yeah, my brother and one time partner, Dirty Steve Dixon, rest in peace. He was part of Jihad Candles as well. I got the idea to create the name Game Changers from him, from conversations we had. Man, I miss that
Yeah.
Joker every day, man. Another mentor, partner, and brother, my guy Lou, Rochester Combine. Another brother
Sir.
that doesn't get half the props for some of the great things he's done in history. Man, who else? Other profound influences. Man, guys like my brother, Baltimore Chuck, rest in peace. He's one of the first guys that sent me Dog's Condition for him. Also, my bro and my partner Cece, man, we kind of bounce ideas off of each other. We kind of think so much alike, man, that we could basically finish each other's sentences and thoughts. And us two specifically, we work timeless hours, man, at honing and crafting our conditioning skills, to the point where it made us stick out. And a lot of people wanted our help or just for us to condition for them. So, man, these guys also always, man, always like myself, put the animal first. And, man, we always have thought about the dogs first before ourselves. So, that's some of the mentors and brothers that I have and have had in this game.
Okay. Um, what does the bull breed mean to you on a personal level beyond just ownership or registry work?
That's a good question. That's a good question. Man, American Pit Bull Terrier to me, as a whole, it means freedom. You know what I'm saying? Giving so much of yourself without asking for anything in return. Going to the core of your mind, your heart, and your body, past the point of where it hurts, digging deep into yourself. Sometimes digging deeper and bringing out a mind state that you possibly didn't even know you had. Man, but being around and seeing these animals, it should make you want to be a better person and give your absolute best, man. That's one of the things that this
Yeah.
breed has definitely done for me, man, especially on a personal level. On hard days, you go out there and look at them dogs and just think about the history behind them. It's like it almost gets to the point where you really can't complain about nothing. You see some of the stuff they've done and what they go through, and you go back and it's like, man, I got nothing to complain about. This animal is just, they got such a history. Like, you just like me. We love that history on these animals, and that's one of the
Sir.
things, man. They bring to me on a personal level.
Sir, some of these dogs, that be in these pedigrees, man, that's what's so interesting about the pets. Like, dogs like you know, uh Earl Tudor's Spike,
Mm-hmm.
dogs like that, were probably back in the Great Depression and,
Oh yeah.
seen different times in America, you know. It's crazy, man. That's why, I was telling one of my partners, man, that when people get these dogs, especially these fanciers,
Mm-hmm.
uh, they're looking at these pedigrees, looking for certain names to hopefully have a piece of American history.
That's facts. That's facts. Like you said, you think about it, it's so many generations back on some of these animals. You know,
Yeah,
some
these a
some
lot of
people can
these
trace it
dogs.
back. You know, the dogs they can trace them back more than they can trace their own family lineage back.
Yeah, yeah, it's crazy,
It's one,
crazy, man.
and like you said, you certain times, whether it's during wartime, during this, that, and the third, you can go back into the history and see, as far as the different fanciers and owners that own them, what the breeds was doing at the time, the
Yeah,
different pictures that they kind of take you back to that time and situation. It's just real crazy, man.
yeah, man, it's crazy. Uh, in your eyes, what are the most unique and admirable qualities of the pit bull terrier that set it apart from the other breeds?
Uh, Man, I have to say, gameness first and foremost. You know what I'm saying? Um, Man, nothing divides and separates the pit bull more than that. Doing the feat to the point
Sir.
where your body and your mind sometimes don't want to agree with it. But your heart continues on and makes it happen and does not quit. Man, that's something right there that no other breed. I think if it's looked at so wrong by a lot of different breed owners, but it's one of those things that if people actually knew and understand it, there would be no reason why somebody would not want that in their breed, in their working breeds. You know what I'm
Sir, you
saying?
right,
And then
right.
we got to remember as well. The pit bull is the number one working dog in the world. So this is, to me, this is the only breed that can and has performed at the highest level in all types of work. You know what I'm saying? From agility, protection, to herding, to hunting, much more. They've done everything that you can think of. The highest in Shetland has been a pit bull. I believe the first dog ever to get the highest that's in Shetland, which I think is like a Shetland 3 or 4, was a pit bull. They can do everything, anything you can think of. They are,
Yeah.
to me, the number one working dog in the world.
I had an old timer tell me that those dogs are bred against nature.
Which ones?
Just the pit bull in general. That gameness is something that goes against nature.
It does. It does. Now I understand what he's saying. If you break it down, if you look at wolves and other animals in nature, they're not gonna fight till they can't fight no more. If they're to the point where they're pretty much beat, they're gonna give up or kind of what we call cur, to the point where they become the daggone one of the like, for example, wolves. Okay, you only got one alpha inside of a pack. So that lets you know all the rest of them. They're not sitting there. They're not trying to go for the gusto. They're not showing no type of gameness or nothing. Once they're beat, that's it. Nature's way, like he's saying, nature's way of surviving is, hey, if you can't win, run away and fight another day.
Yeah,
And this breed is
yeah,
like, nah, we ain't doing that.
yeah, man. It's I mean, if these people would really, take the time to really get to know the breed, they'll be proud to have one.
For sure.
You know,
For sure.
super proud.
There's nothing, you know, just looking back in history alone, you know what I'm saying? Just having a piece of history when you can go back so many years to when this dog was imported to the United States, all these little things that you can trace and have all in one dog. There's no
Yeah.
part of it that you shouldn't be proud to own.
Surprised who was the owners of some of these dogs.
Exactly. You've
Yeah.
got you've got everything from, the poorest people out to the richest people out that have owned these dogs.
Yeah.
Other countries, you got queens and kings that have owned them.
I just feel like it's a shame that America is one of the biggest countries that's looking for the extermination
Yeah,
of the breed.
and a lot of that is
But they
because people don't understand them. People don't.
represent America in so many ways.
Oh yeah, oh yeah. Yeah, I mean, you've had this breed in the army during war. You've had this breed. There's, like I said, there's nothing this breed has not done.
Yeah.
In any working capacity you can think of, back to when some of the stuff that's illegal now, all the way to, like we said, herding, shutzing, and all type of other stuff. Wall climb,
Yeah.
treadmill race. These dogs, man, I've seen them dock jumping. I've seen them do a little bit of everything.
Yeah.
Weight pull, you know.
There's so much more you can do with the dogs. Like,
Yeah, when you have an animal who has an open mind, first of all, that it wants to please its owner, and then it's got a mindset of where it doesn't want to quit. And you sit there and you raise that animal correctly. You feed into that animal, man. There's nothing you can't do with it, because they want to please you. They want to make you happy, and they're not trying to quit.
yeah, sir. Um, how has your involvement with the breed impacted your life in terms of personal growth, relationships, or challenges that you overcame?
Oh man, let's see. Well, tapping on what I previously said, man. Gameness. You know what I'm saying? Gameness, eagerness, pure everyday joy in this breed has impacted my life. Just learning how to keep going. On them days when you don't even want to sometimes get up, don't want to go to work, you don't want to do this, that, and the third. These dogs teach you, man, how to, gotta kind of learn from them how to get up off the ground, wipe the dust and mud off yourself, and continue on, man. I can truthfully and honestly say that it's possibly and probably hurt relationships I've had. You know what I'm saying? One reason, because you expect that undying loyalty from people like you get from the dogs, and it's hard to find that in people. Two, man, the spending the time with these dogs to take care of them correctly. Sometimes it's hard to balance. Sometimes they take a lot of your time. So, for that reason, and also because you just feel so joyful being around them, man. It's kind of hard, you go out there, spend time with your dog, or you're doing something with your dog, and then it's like, hey, you got to go to work, or you got to go spend time somewhere else, or do something else. So, you sometimes get lost around them and lose track of time. As far as challenges, man, the same as my first statement, man. These dogs make you feel like there's no challenges you can't overcome, man. I feel like, looking at, let's say, for example, man, you look at a little 35 pound dog. Then you go to one of these shows and you look at this big old 16-foot wall. And you see this little old dog run up this wall 10, 12 feet in the air. You know what I'm saying? If that little joker can do that, there should be, you should feel like, man, there ain't no challenge I can't overcome. You know what I'm saying? I'm almost 10 times this daggone dog's weight, So they should definitely feed into you, man. If they're not feeding into you and feeding into your life, you got the wrong dogs. Or you gotta look at yourself, how you raising them, and how you spend the time and paying attention to them, man. Because they definitely should be feeding into you and making you a better person all the way around.
Yeah, right about that. Uh, if you could describe the essence, the pit bull terrier, in one word or phrase, what would it be and why? I'm pretty sure I know what you're gonna say.
It's gonna be gameness, man.
Yeah.
It's gonna be gameness again, man. That's the one thing that has separated this breed, man, from its creation to its current state. And it's important, not to lose, like we was talking about history. It's important not to lose that part of history that was created and still celebrated. I was looking at a post the other day, and a lot of people want to, I feel like, forget the history of these animals. You know what I'm saying? And at the end of the day, the name of the dog is American Pit Bull Terrier. You know what I'm saying? The essence of the dog is in his name. You know, that's where it
Yep.
comes from. That's where it was created from. We can't forget about that. It's just our job to use that in different directions, direct that in different energy, whether it's weight pulling, you know what I'm saying, man, go ride the bike with your dog. You know, it don't even have to be at shows and stuff like that. It could be with you spending time with your dog, spending time with your family. Excuse me, going hiking. You know, it's all type of stuff where that gameness will show and shine. And a lot of people, I feel like, try to forget it or don't like to see it because a lot of times it comes out as dog aggression. You know, you're going to see it when they're looking at another animal, specifically another four-legged animal. But that's part of what created the breed. If you don't love that part of the breed, do you really love the breed?
Yeah, you're right. They don't need to be owning the dogs, you know. That's the biggest mistake. These people that don't know the history of the dog, don't know nothing about the dog, watch these shows of
Mm-hmm.
these these animal trainers, these great trainers, and think they can just change the dog. That's
Yeah,
genetic.
exactly. And my thing too, at the end of the day, man, is there's hundreds and hundreds of other beautiful breeds. If there's specific things like that you don't like about this breed, man, leave this breed to other people
Yeah.
that love
Go
every
get
part
you
of it. Go get you another dog. There's so
yeah,
many
get you a
other ones.
Dachshund or a
Yeah.
Cocker Spaniel,
If
you
you if
know.
you if you want if you want to work a dog, you know, go get you I would say a Belgian Malinois, but a lot of people can't handle them. You know, it's with
They
different
can't
working
handle
animals.
Patterdales.
Yeah, with different working animals, there's something that they come with because they was bred and made specifically for a job. When that
Yeah,
animal is still able to do that job, you should want it for everything that was created to do, whether you do
yeah.
that or not. Nobody's saying you got to go out here and do anything with them like that, but that's part of the animal. That is what, like you said, you know, you're talking about Tudor and some of the older guys like that. These guys put their blood, sweat, and tears to create these animals. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
You know, I've lived overseas and I've seen in some of these countries. I lived in Europe and seen some of these countries where, you know, these guys could barely afford to feed themselves. So they had the best dogs that they could have, and they loved them like they was their kids, you know. And I'm talking about really, really, like, they love those jokers because at the end of the day, they're going and looking at the food that they have rationed for, you know, the week or the month for their family, and they're having to dip into that for their animal. So, you know,
Yeah.
that's one of the things to me. It's like so many other different beautiful breeds out here. Don't be stuck on this breed if you don't want everything that comes with it, and you're not responsible enough to know what comes with it.
Yes, sir. Hit the nail right on the head with that one. Can you tell us the story behind founding your organization, Game Changers? What inspired its creation?
All right, so I tapped on it a little bit. So, you know, going back to my mentor, Dirty Steve, man. You know, me and him, we always used to talk. You know, it was a real brothership, and not just a friendship. You know, like I said, we was really brothers. We would sit down and have full-fledged conversations, and no matter what we talked about, it always ended up being about dogs. One of the statements he used to always say to me, man, was that he wanted to write a book that celebrated a lot of those people who are hardly ever celebrated in this breed or hardly spoken about, but very well known and respected, you know. And with Dirty's untimely passing, man, I took on that task of writing that book. And before you ask, yes, I'm still in the process of writing it, man. It's not done yet. I've had a couple people ask,
Yeah,
and
you know I want one of them.
it's a I feel like it's a lifetime thing, you know. It's not a over the night type of book because I'm still meeting so many great guys and girls in this breed that a lot of people don't talk about. But man, getting back on the subject, one day I realized that I wanted to create a club that does just that. Celebrate those, who hardly ever or never celebrated by other clubs or registries. And I came up with the name Game Changers because that's what the people did, man. They changed the game for a lot of us. They opened doors and made ways for us to come in it. So with that name, man, I went and I had my first show. I put it together, planned it. And I did that on my own, without any help or backing of any of the clubs or registries. And man, it felt I give you some videos and pictures for it. You posted with this, man. It felt kind of like a huge family gathering or a family reunion. And man, some of the gentlemen which I honored at the show, man, which we call them OGs. We had like Mr. Vernon Whitley, my brother Rasta Man, my brother Bo at Pompano Kennels. You know what I'm saying? And man, this show it was highly successful to the point that Rasta Man went and he told the owner of the APDR at the time. He said, "Hey man, you need to get with this brother and bring him into the fold. He cares about not only the future of this breed, but the history of those who sacrificed for it." So what I'm saying. From there, it just grew, man. It got to the point where the APDR was going through a lot of changes. And Game Changers was the only club in the registry for a while. So, I was taking on the duties of a club of, usually like 20 members, just for the love of it. And to give back to the breed and the people, man. And then, I started overseeing different shows in other countries and throwing some of the shows in different states. And, all of that fell under the Game Changers umbrella.
And it was a big success, man. One of the best things you ever created.
Oh yeah, man. I love it, man. Our yearly show that we do, the kickback goes back to the original Game Changers show. I named it the kickback because that's one of them things we do down here in the South. We have a little kickback. Everybody sit back, talk like we family, eat some good food. Talk about stuff we love, and look at some good dogs, man. We had some people. We had a little show, brought the dogs. We had them, only show that I know of that Mr. Vernon Whitley ever helped judge, So,
and one of the best atmospheres that I've ever been in. If to all my listeners, if you hadn't been to an APDR show, one coming up this month in Virginia.
Oh yeah.
To go and check it out, man. Definitely a one-of-a-kind experience. You come with your dog, get treated like family. Won't nobody know you from a can of paint.
That's
but I
right.
guarantee you come there. By the time you leave, you'll have more family than, when
That's
you
it.
arrive.
Yeah, we tell people, when you first come, you a visitor. By the time you leave, you family. You family.
You want to go into details?
Yeah, man.
On
the show coming up. Yeah, so we got a show coming up in Virginia, in Wytheville, Virginia. We got Going Hard Twins, Going Hard number 1 and number 2, the twins coming up. They're gonna be judging it, and man, we're raising money for autism and for ADHD. All the money we raise is going to them. We're not keeping none of that money. All that money is going straight to them. So, we got a couple raffles. As far as we got a puppy raffle, we got some stud service raffles.
Oh man,
we got some breeding stands we raffling. Just a bunch of good stuff, man. And just hanging out, man. These are some guys that a lot of people in the dogs know about, but it's one of them things, it's different to know about somebody than to actually give them their flowers and show them honor and respect, for stuff they've done, for them standing solid in this breed, for them to create great animals in this breed that a lot of us got dogs down from. So, that's one of the biggest things for me is, you got these guys coming out and, man, these guys is experts in the breed, Like, why would you not want to be judged by some of the best people out here? And that's what I try to do. I try to get, these judges that are not really tangible to some people. Like some people can only read about these guys.
You're right, man.
You can come out here,
Really
give these
right.
guys a handshake, tell them to the face, man, hey, we appreciate you, we honor you for what you've done. Having them look over your dogs afterward. If you don't win or if you do win, hey, what'd you see in my dog that you think I might need to work on? Or some of the stuff, pick their brain and
Yeah.
ask them, because they have that years of knowledge of stuff that you might not see, or your brain might not be developed yet, especially if you're young in these dogs. These guys
Yeah.
have been around dogs that we just read about. These guys have gotten dogs from breeders that you'd be like, wow, that type of thing. So, but it's gonna be a good show, man. We're gonna have a lot of fun. A lot of good people there. Of course, we're gonna do our fun class, confirmation classes. We're gonna have our sports. We're gonna do treadmill race, wall climb. Man, it's gonna be a blast, man. It's definitely gonna be a blast. This is a new area, new arena. We coming back to Virginia. We used to show in Virginia.
Yes,
We used to
sir.
do the No Kidding Classic in Virginia, and man, we coming back, trying to spread this love, and eventually give every state, a show, at least a show, so everybody doesn't have to go
Yeah.
too far. But man, like you say, it's family. So once you start going to these shows and you start meeting these people, and you start recognizing dogs and remembering dogs by their names, trust and believe you're
Yeah.
gonna try to move stuff around in your schedule. You're gonna try to come to all the shows.
Oh yeah, man.
You're
Oh
gonna
yeah.
try.
It's definitely something they don't want to miss, man. Definitely something they don't want to miss. Can you give them that date again of the show?
Yeah, it's gonna be October 25th. October 25th
October 25th.
in Whiteville, and I'll give you the information where you can post it with this, as far as the address and everything is concerned, and
Right, I'll do
the
that.
flyer. But yeah, man, it's gonna be a blast. We, like I said, we definitely trying to raise this money for. I tried not to say kids, but a lot of people don't know it's not just children.
Yeah.
That autism and ADHD is out there attacking, or something that they're dealing with, should I say, and their families are dealing with. So you know ADHD is something I deal with, and a couple of my friends. So it's a lifelong thing, and it's just something we want to help our community, and like we said before, be part of our community. Being responsible owners of this breed is also reaching out to the community and letting them know, hey, we're here. We want you to see, not only are we helping, not only are we responsible, you know while we're doing that, hey, come look at this breed of dog we have, and see this responsible person is also with this breed right here. So it kind of is like a two-way street where people can see the better side of the dogs and these dog owners. They're not what the media makes a lot of people to be. We out here really trying to help our community, man. We really love our dogs.
Sir. Yes, sir. The most important thing is the dogs.
Yes, sir, for
Trying to
sure.
save the dogs.
For sure.
Yes, sir. Um, how did? Hey, hold on. No, let me ask this one. What was the original mission and vision for Game Changers when you started it?
All right, so yeah, like I previously said, the original vision for Game Changers was to give out and show respect to some of the people that have been very vital, and important to this breed, that have seemed not to get the
Yeah.
recognition or honor elsewhere. Man, basically, we just want them to know they're not forgotten, man. We want to give them their flowers at the end of the day, and honor them, man. Respect them. A lot of times you'll see people, when it's too late, oh, rest in peace, rest in peace. Man, these people are here now, and they're everywhere. It's not all the big names that people know, but these guys is big names that
Yeah.
people might sleep on, or a lot of people might not know about. So we're trying to give them some, like I said, they flowers, and give them some love and respect,
Yeah.
before they leave the game.
Sir, this young generation, they a lot of them have no leaders.
That's true. That's definitely
You
true.
know, They have no leaders. They have nobody that'll, be willing to show them, the right things to do with this breed and the right way to take care of this breed. And man, I love what you're doing, man. It's bringing these young guys in and showing them the way, showing them that it's more that you can do with these dogs than what the media portrays.
Oh, that's for sure, man. I love it. I appreciate it. Man, every judge that I pick and every judge that we have, one of our biggest classes is junior handlers. We really, really, really
Yeah,
love these young kids. We're trying to let them see, and teach them the right way by not only telling them, because that don't always don't work. Just telling. They got to see you do it. So we got them coming to the show and they're handling their dogs. Some of them handling puppies, some of them handling grown dogs. And man, you come to our shows, you see some of these little kids handling grown dogs better than some of these adults do.
yeah,
So
yeah.
that's part of it, man. The future, we want to make sure that the future is bright for this breed and for these children, so they can have each other in the future.
Sir. Uh, what were some of the biggest challenges you face while establishing and growing Game Changer?
Oh man, biggest challenges, man. It's been a lot. Um, Man, some of the biggest challenges starting Game Changers was, of course, we had doubters. You're gonna have those in anything you sought out to do or seek out to do. They always gonna
Right.
be there, but man, then starting and just creating something on my own, out of my own pocket. Um, but it quickly turned into something that everybody wanted to be a part of, and also to help with. People saw how fast it grew, the big names that was involved with it and behind us, as well as they got to see some of those same big names that they only heard about, or seen in pedigrees to be a part of our shows. So, it started rocky like most things do, especially when you're trying to start things on your own. But man,
Yeah.
it's such a positive thing, man, and I don't have time for negativity, you know. So a lot of that stuff I got to put it to the side because at
Yeah.
the end of the day I'm trying to keep a positive thing going. So, man, we just move it out the way and keep going, and people feed off of that. People feed off of that positivity. People see, wow, he got this guy, that guy pushing him and saying, hey, he's doing this, he's doing it right. And, they trust and respect a lot of these names. And then when they see and they're around me and actually have a conversation with me, they see for themselves. So, man,
Yeah.
we just take them challenges, and, like a good bulldog. We just run right through it.
Sir. Yes, sir. In what ways has Game Changers influenced your current work with the APDR, or and how do the two connect?
uh, so Game Changers, kind of built the bridge for me to come on early with the APDR as far as running the club and helping in other different ways. But it then grew, of course, to me purchasing the APDR and Game Changers is our biggest club still to the date, or what I call our home club. It's kind of like a model club of how the other clubs can grow, or if they need help in certain areas. That's what Game Changers is here for. So, Game Changers, I like to say Game Changers is the boots on the ground for the APDR. The APDR is, doing the paperwork, points, that type of stuff. But Game Changers is taking those ideas and that ideology and putting it on the ground and building those grassroots with people within the breed. And they connect from there, One helps the other,
Sir.
what they say,
So
one hand
one hand
wash
washes the
the
other.
other, and both hands wash
Yes,
the
sir.
face.
Hey, it popped right in my mind. Yep, right when you was about to say it. Yep.
So that's how we do,
Uh,
you know. But yeah,
sir,
game changers, man. That's the home club, you know. That's the club where everybody else club is modeled off of, and any other clubs need help. That's the club that they go to and say, okay, well, this is how Game Changers runs it. This is how they do it. We'll build our model off of that.
sir, changing the game.
We trying,
Uh,
man.
what all goes into the day-to-day operations of running a pit bull registry like the APDR?
Man, whew, it's a lot. It's a lot. Man, first and foremost, first of all, a lot of people don't know, but we're not just a pit bull registry, but mainly and most importantly, a registry for working dogs. Pit bull is our heart, but when it comes to the actual registry, we register other working dogs. And we're in the process, of building other breed clubs as well. So, we can have those shows for other breeds, or they can have those shows, whether it's Malinois, Jag Terriers, stuff like that. But the day-to-day, man, goes anywhere from talking with different customers, whether via phone, email, messenger, even through letters. You got some old-timers that they like to talk through letter, registering and handling paperwork for litters, as well as single dogs, printing that paperwork, numerous trips to the post office. I think my post office people know me by first name. Another part is, constantly looking up different laws that the government is trying to pass or create that'll harm our animals. That's whether it's breed-specific legislature or other types. We also stay in contact with a few other registries, verifying legitimacy of paperwork and some dogs. And then we have, the planning of future shows with our clubs and staying in contact with our different clubs. So it's a busy day to day, man. It's a lot. Sometimes it's a lot to juggle. But man, when you love it, it don't feel like work. When you love it,
right.
It doesn't feel like work. It just feels like I put it as my part to try and help better the breed and try to do my part.
How do you handle registrations, pedigrees, as far as ensuring accuracy in a registry? What processes do you have in place, as far as when it comes to the accuracy?
Okay, that's a good question, man. We got a few key protocols in place. Of course, I can't mention everything. It's always people trying to get around stuff.
You can't give out the recipe and everything else.
Yeah. It's always somebody trying to put fake papers through, stuff like that. You're always trying to.
Yeah.
It's kind of like the government says, they don't put everything out because there's always people trying to print their own money.
Yep, you're right.
But
you're right,
man. I stay in contact, like I said, with other registries. Checking accuracy on breedings, individual dogs, as well as registered names of dogs. Don't sound like a lot, but you'd be surprised how many dogs are registered with like 2 or 3 different registries and got a different name in each registry. Kind of like I tell you, I'm very historical. I like history a lot. I want to do my part. So, it's hard when somebody, 10, 15, 20 years from now, they go to get information on a dog, pedigree or otherwise, and, they try to find it, and they, this other dog was in this litter as well. And, come to find out it was both the same dog, just had different names. So, I try to stop. I try to stop that type of thing from happening, man. Also, I'm always checking with and contacting breeders to make sure dogs are accurately portrayed in their paperwork, genealogy, as well as making sure the dogs were produced by them and all information about is accurate. Like I said, I'm very, very huge on history and keeping it correct. I feel like, that's a duty and an honor in this breed. So if you're gonna do it, you got to do it right to the best of your ability.
Sir, that's right. Uh, since taking ownership of the APDR, what changes or improvements have you implemented to enhance its effectiveness?
Oh man, it's been a few things. Right now I'm working on a new database, help us to keep even more accurate records. At the touch of a finger, it's a whole lot easier. Um, I've updated the website to make it very easy for somebody to navigate, learn about us, register dogs, even to find out, when our next events are. And I'm always trying to stay a step ahead of the curve, man. I'm bring the best that I can for the customers and the dog as well. I feel like if
Yeah,
somebody's giving you their money, you got to do your best and earn, you know, that dollar, every penny of it.
right. Yeah, man, that's right. Can you walk us through the core elements of the APDR breed standard for the American Pit Bull Terrier,
Mm.
such as appearance and temperament?
All right. So, man, well, first things first, it's a working breed, like I said before. Um, I feel like it's the number one working breed in the world. So, they should look like it. Um, they should have a look to them that they could just, run in a treadmill race right now or some type of athletic feat and, show their prowess. Another important standard is temperament. We do have confirmation shows, but these animals were bred for a specific reason many, many years ago. So we're looking for dogs that are very interested in other animals. At the same time, a dog that knows how to shut that off when the judge or another human walks up. A dog that it can be handled by a child or a teenager and knows the difference. A very cognizant animal. Appearance wise, short, deep, and powerful head. Eyes which are full of fire and life. Um, Ears, well sized in comparison to the head. Tight mouth, lip area with a scissors bite is very, very important, especially for our breed. Um, the mouth should fit together, man, as if it was chiseled apart. Real nice, real tight. What else? What else? Muscular neck, slight slope, tight skin overall. Straight front elbows, they're in line with straight legs. Feet, legs, and elbows should all be facing forward, not bent out or inward. Body full with good bone and a deep chest, but not overly deep. As where it's taken away from the balance of the dog's body. Stifles, back legs should have a nice bend to them, nice angulation to them, not straight up and down. Of course, we're not looking for any cowhawk dogs. We want those legs and feet again to point forward just like the front legs. Feet themselves should all be tight, not much space between the toes. Tail, we like to see, what old timers call a rat tail. Short hair, tight, decreasing in size from the base of the tail to the end. As far as colors, we got these dogs come in all type of colors. Um, and we're looking for a gamey, athletic animal. In the APDR, a curved or what they call a roachback is not a fault like it is in a lot of other registries. And that's just because, we've learned over the years, consulting with many breeders, a lot of the OGs, like I said, historians in the breed, that an animal with this stature and body type, it creates motion and speed with that curved back. Historically, that's something that a pit bull not only needed but thrived on having. So that's some of the stuff. Like we said, it's an athlete, to me, the number one athlete in the world. So he should look like it, and that's where it begins with.
What are some common faults or disqualifications outlined in the APDR standard, and why are they important and why are they important to avoid?
Um, Some common faults, lack, like I said, lack of a good scissor bite, what we call a monkey tail, a lack of angulation in the legs, especially in the back legs. We don't want no straight legs. Can't get no movement from that. Um, it's so much more, but these are important, man, just to avoid, because they alter the breed to the point where it can possibly no longer be a working breed. At the end of the day, that's what we, although we're showing and things of that nature, we're still creating and breeding a working breed. So we want things that are going to keep it like that. When we think about it, then we think of possibly shortening the longevity of these animals if you start going away from those standards. So that's something you got to keep in the back of your head when breeding these animals, and the stuff is there for a reason. It's there for a reason. You got these older guys that have gotten together and talked about different things as such. And again, when we go back to the history of these dogs, these are all things that have helped these animals to thrive to where we have them now. So we try not to go away from that.
So, uh, how do you educate breeders and judges on adhering to the APDR standard during shows or registrations?
Um, Man, the best way I believe to educate breeders and the owners is I tell people, a lot of times talk with our judges. We got our judges. Our judges are educated. A lot of them not only with our standard, but years and years of owning the breed. Same thing like I said before. If your dog doesn't win or place in his class, ask the judge. What faults did they see in your dog? Ask them if there's anything that you could do to help or correct it. When it comes to judges, we work with them on a one-on-one basis with our standards, what we're looking for and why. But like we say, a lot of them are old timers. A lot of them have been in the breed for a long time, so they know. They know. Even if it's possibly worded differently by them and us, almost all the time is the exact same thing we're both looking for. But like I said, you got to remember, most of these men and women are professionals. They've been in these dogs for quite some time, so they know. Like I said, they know what to look for, and a lot of times they know what to steer clear from. So we have that little
Yeah.
talk with them and go over it, and you'd be surprised. People aren't successful in these dogs without knowing certain things about these animals, even when it comes down to genetic faults. These guys are pretty smart, man.
Yeah. What are some of your all-time favorite pit bull bloodlines, and what makes them stand out to you?
That's what I'm talking about. We're getting personal now. All right. Oh man, I personally, man, I love Carver dogs, man. I love Carver dogs. My favorite dog of all time would probably be Indian Bolio. Um, some of the other ones that stick out to me would be, Boomerang, Arts Missy, Black Widow, Queen of Hearts. And of course, we in Red Boy Jocko land, so of course, some of them dogs down from that blood that I like a whole lot. I like the older Waccamaw dogs and blood. And the dogs that keep that, that certain standard, such as, some of the dogs down from Deadeye, you see, they have that standard in them that was originally bred into those dogs. But man, it's so many. And I like them for a lot of different reasons. As a whole, though, man, sheesh, if I had one male and one female to pick, it'd be Bolio, man, and Arts Missy. It would be those
Yeah.
two. I think with those two, I can start and build pretty much anything I wanted. You know, those are two that stick out for me. History behind them, as well as the dogs down from them.
Have you personally worked with or bred from specific bloodlines like Colby or Jeep, and what drew you to those dogs?
Yeah. Um, Going again, Missy, Indian Bolio. That's some of the stuff we really concentrated on. Me and
Okay.
my partners. And it's some of the blood that my mentors had as well. Man, I was introduced to the blood by them, and mainly stuck out because like I said, we're in Red Boy Jocko land, so so many other people just had Red Boy Jocko dogs, and the stuff I seen from the Carver dogs, especially the Bolio dogs, the Arts Missy dogs, it was so different, and it stuck out from the normal dogs you seen. A lot of times, you'll see, depending, I ain't gonna say all of them, but a lot of times you'll see, depending on the Red Boy Jocko stuff you have, you're usually used to seeing, a bigger, what we call like a slouch of a dog. Um,
Yeah.
and man, we were seeing just a lot of very, very athletic dogs that were naturally built, naturally had wind. Um, Man, it's loving, very, very loving dogs, but very intelligent dogs. Um, Dogs to the point like my buddy Lou. I can tell you so many stories, but like dogs where you could have a yard full of dogs, and this joker he would open the door and let a dog out, go use the bathroom, and these dogs smart enough they go do what they got to do. Look at the other dogs on the yard, not pay them no mind, come right back inside. A dog smart enough that it comes when it's recalled, and just different stuff like that, man. They stuck out to me. Their build, and the history on them, history of some of the dogs we've had that go back to it, and it just built my love for them.
Okay. Uh, in your experience, what qualities such as health, temperament, or athleticism define a truly exceptional American Pit Bull Terrier bloodline?
I had to say all of the above, truthfully. Man, a great bloodline has to have all of these, not only to continue to grow but thrive throughout the years. It's got to
Yeah.
be able to have the effect where if you do start seeing those faults, you can go back and introduce the old blood to the newer blood and correct those faults. So that's another big thing. I see it's got to have, as well as it needs to be able to breed well with other lines. Going back to Bolio, that's one of the things we saw with it. You can go, you could say Bolio or you could say Pat Patrick blood, either way you want to say it. That's one of the lines that I seen crossed with so many other lines and still produce exceptional animals. And that to me is a strong bloodline where you can go and you can take it, and let's say you could breed it to another line that has faults or issues, and this line strengthens them. It strengthens the health of them. Still get athletes out of them. Even when inbred tightly, they still
Yeah.
keep that temperament. Lot of good things that a line should come with. When adding to other lines, or even when you inbreed it to a certain percentage, you should still get that out of them.
Hey. Are there any bloodlines that you can recommend for performance, family companionship, or show purposes?
Mm, mm, mm. With that, man, I tell a lot of people, you got to go look in those specific areas where you're trying to find a dog to do. For example, you
Yeah.
don't want to get into racing dog sports such as lure racing with a line or even a breed who have short legs. Like a dachshund, basically. You want to
Yeah.
find something that's working in that area already, study it, go to the shows, talk with the people who are consistently winning, and see what they're using. You kind of go from there. Same thing with the family companionship. You got to talk to the people that not only breed it, because a lot of people are going to sell you a story, especially if it's their dogs, but a good breeder should be able to give you, 5, 10, even 20 different people's phone numbers and say, hey, go contact him. He got this from me. He got this from me. And, you should be able to talk to other people that have the stuff and can tell you, oh, man, this dog is a great family companion. Or, oh, man, this dog is great in, treadmill racing or whatever, performance or show purpose you're trying to do. You got to be able to go to those that's winning. A lot of times people want to start with something different and be so different. I don't want to have what he has, or I don't want to have what she has. And man, it's possible, but it's going to take you a longer time. It's going to take you a longer time because, there's a reason why when you start going into certain events and starting showing different aspects, you'll notice and realize a lot of the dogs that are winning are very similarly bred, bred a lot same way. So there's a reasoning as to why. So it's much easier. It's going to save you a lot of time to go talk to the people that are winning, go talk to the people that are breeding for those different events.
Sir, how have the bloodlines evolved over the decades, and what trends do you see emerging today?
Man, bloodlines have evolved huge way. Man, you see dogs a lot more naturally athletic. A lot of times you'll see, you can go even to these shows and you'll see some of these dogs, and a lot of these people will tell you, man, oh no, I just took them from inside the house, or I just took them off the chain. I ain't putting no work into them. You're like, wow, the dog looks amazing, You got dogs, with great wind, endurance, even before conditioning them. So, but as a whole, man, that's what should be happening, The dog should be getting better as the years go on, or, we're doing something wrong. We're going backwards. If they aren't, then we're, like I say, breeding backwards. We're going the opposite way. Every generation, they should be getting better. Man, some of the trends I see, I see, a lot of the trends are breeding without even knowing what a person has in an animal, Some people not even letting the animal grow up to see what his faults are before, it's even used to breed. A lot of these dogs, 3-4 years old is when it stops fully maturing and growing. And you see guys out here and they breeding these dogs before they're a year old, first heat, or you see, different stuff like that. And,
crazy.
It's crazy, and like I said, it changes a lot because a lot of times the dog can look good when it's young, and then when it fully matures, you start seeing those issues and problems. Especially if you're not health testing. If you're not health testing, a lot of that stuff shows up a little bit later. And you could have been breeding it into dogs, and whether you're selling or keeping them for yourself, you kind of messing up and going backwards. And as a whole for the breed, you're not helping the breed at all.
Right, bro. One of the biggest challenges currently facing the breed, such as misconceptions or legislation?
Man, shoot, we still fighting, and facing a lot of BSL. For those that don't know, that's breed-specific legislature for our breed. It's illegal in most places. There's been some places that have outlawed it. But, there's different entities that have a way around it, Instead of saying, American Pit Bull Terrier, they'll say, bully breeds, and lumping us with other breeds. That's their little way around it. Another challenge is a big one is the divisiveness in this breed, man. A lot of people going against each other, or this registry against that registry, you know what I'm saying? I currently just attended I think it's been, about 3 weeks to a month ago. I attended and participated in Tri-State ADBA show. Are they my competition? Yeah, in some ways. Yes, we do some things differently, but overall, I see them as friends and partners in the breed. I feel as we have, enough enemies in this world, especially against the American Pit Bull Terrier. Man. I feel like we need to unite as a strong common front, fight against those who are trying to eliminate our breed. A lot of people don't realize, man, we have a lot more in common, and it should start at the love of this breed, and wanting to see it grow and grow on for eternities and eternities, for our children and those that want it in the future. But like I said, that divisiveness is one of the biggest things. Sometimes we are our worst enemies. When we got enough enemies out there, we should be helping each other to make this breed successful and stop government and other entities from trying to, ban these dogs and, banning the owning and, stuff like that. So that's some of the stuff, man. It's always, it's always some type of, whether it's the ASPCA, the government, somebody that's trying to come up with some type of new laws or something to block this breed. And a lot of them are slick with their wording. They try to add it to other laws to get stuff passed in a sneaky little way. So we try to put a lot of that stuff out there. So people are a lot of times people don't search for stuff themselves. So we try to put it out there so people can find out about it. We got our magazine coming up soon. Working Dog Illustrated, and that's gonna be some of the stuff that's gonna be in there, where people can find out, how can I help? How can I help with this breed, or fighting these laws and fighting this legislation? Sometimes it's just as easy as writing an email, a phone call to your local congressman, governor, stuff like that. Man, it starts with that. But everybody gotta do their part. Everybody gotta do their part.
Sir, right about that. What advice would you give someone new to the breed who wants to become a responsible owner or breeder?
Learn as much as you can. Man, that's one of the biggest things. Learn as much as you can. Not just from books, but from people. A lot of times, you got different books where it's this day and age where almost anybody can write a book. So, books aren't always accurate. They're not always from somebody, writing from a different point of view. A lot of times people want to make history and swing history in their direction. So, man, go out there and learn from people. Learn from these people that, we got in these shows and outside. They've been around this breed for a long time. You got to get out to these shows and meet the people, whether it's the judges or other ones. Talk to them. See if you could set up a visit to their yards where you can get more information as far as, they've been around long enough where they've seen, these different waves that this breed has went against. You gotta, see what's going on with that. And the biggest thing is, man, when you do that, take them people and you're listening to them, you gotta make sure their yard lines up with their ideologies, and these things that they preach. If everything does, pick up a rake, earn that conversation and knowledge, man, that they're giving you. Like I said before, that's one of our things we used to do. Take your time and take their time and earn it. Learn some of the problems surrounding this breed, man. And biggest thing, try to become an answer to them problems instead of adding to it. Don't add to the problems we already got that we're trying to fight. At the end of the day, you give more than you take from this breed, man. And lastly, treat these animals as sacred as they are. We talk about the history like me and you was talking about a little while earlier. These animals been through a lot. These animals been around a lot longer than any of us have. They sacred in a lot of our eyes. Treat them like it.
Yeah.
Well, no matter if you got 1 dog or 50 dogs, man, treat them the best you can. And if you can't, get rid of some. Shoot, that's part of it, man. You gotta. anything that you want to learn and you want to truly dive into, head first, you have to learn about. You have to learn about it. You got to learn about it from the people that love it. Um, it's enough. It's enough information out there from the people that hate the breed. You got to learn it from the people that have actually been around it. Um, Pour their sweat and tears into the breed and learn as much as you can before you jump head first. It's not for everybody. And the faster you learn that, the better you are, and the better the rest of us in the breed are.
That's right. Uh, can you share a favorite memory or story involving one of your pit bulls that highlights the breed's loyalty or spirit?
Yeah, oh yeah, man. I remember I had this little female. She was a little Rufus Turtle Buster female. I had her name was Abby. She was given to me by my late friend Harry Hargrove, War Eagle. And
Yeah, legendary.
oh yeah, for sure, legend, man. We miss him for sure. Shoot, back when I had her, man, I would bring at that time I bring any new dogs that I got into the house for like a week or two. Get them used to me, get them used to people, and just give us a nice little connection. Give us a bunch of time to spend with each other. And man, she had grown fond of me real quick. She got real attached to me, and one day I left the house to go to a grocery store, pick up some stuff, and I decided to let her run loose in the house to see how she would do. So I'm outside, get my bicycle, I'm walking next to it before I jump on it and go. And I look back and I could see her looking at me through the window upstairs in my room. So I jump on the bike and started pedaling. And man, next thing I heard was a huge crash. And I turned around. She had jumped through the window from upstairs all the way downstairs to the grass in the front yard and started chasing behind me. And man, she jumped down like, she hadn't skipped a beat. Like, she jumped down and right in the sprint. No fumbling, no none of that, man. And like I said, she started chasing behind me. And it was crazy, man. She missed me that much, just for that little bit of minutes being away from her. And
Yeah, man.
crazy as it was, like I said, she only had a few cuts on the top layer of her skin. And let's just say that was her last day inside. That's her last day inside. But man, after I cleaned her up and got the leash, man, she ran right beside me to the grocery store. I never had to train her how to run next to a bike or nothing. She was so happy to be with me. She just ran next to me, next to the bicycle. And man, she was a super athlete. But it just shows, how much these dogs can love you and quickly get attached to you, and they selfless. Like we said before, they're very, very selfless to the point, like, she didn't care if she was going to get hurt or nothing. She wasn't thinking about none of that. She just wanted to be there beside me, That's just one of the
Yeah.
many stories I could think about, man. This if anything, this breed is full of highlights, full of stories, and full of a bunch of craziness.
Yeah. What future plans do you have for the APDR, such as new events, expansions, or initiatives?
All right, so man, we definitely expanding. We're trying to have at least one club in every state, so that everyone gets to go to these good shows that we got. Where they can have fun, show their dogs off, things like that. And we're looking right now, man. Anybody that's interested in starting a club, man, please contact me. We definitely expand into the amount of shows that Game Changers does already, yearly. So, we're in the planning stages of our first multi-day weekend show. So we got that coming up. Like we talked about earlier, we got the No Kidding Classic coming up in October 25th in Virginia. And that's going to be judged by the Going Hard Kennels twins. We got our national show coming up, which is a kickback show. That's going to be in December. Finalizing that right now. What else? We're expanding, man, to more countries outside the U.S. as well. starting up. We've had clubs, and we have some clubs outside the U.S. already, but we're expanding and opening them back up. I'm just trying to come back stronger than ever, bro.
Yeah.
Looking to add more events to raise more money for the community. We're trying to do that, of course, and starting back up shows for other breeds as well. Trying to open it up for
Yeah.
everybody that's got working dogs. They can have their own shows as well, and people get to show off their breeds that they love. So we're trying to build up a community inside the dogs and outside the dogs. And I'm looking for any great people who want to help and go on this ride with us, man. We definitely trying to
Sir.
make it better for everybody.
Sir. Uh, how has social media played a role in your advocacy for the pit bull terrier and running the APDR?
Social media, man, has been a great aid in helping us to spread awareness. Um, as well as also, finding out about some issues in different areas that we have been able to, like I said before, email and call government in those areas, let them know our opposition to BSL. Social media also has made it easier for our customers to contact us, stay in touch with us. We're one of the I like to say most easily accessible registries. It's not nothing to
Sir.
reach out to us and get in contact with us. I
As
t-
fast turnaround on papers, all that.
yeah,
A1 service.
yeah, we try to jump on it, man. Try to jump on it. I try to make myself as available as I can to the people. Let them know we in this fight together. Um, and man, at the end of the day, I want to earn your money from doing great work for you and for your dogs. I don't want to just be here just getting fat like a cow off of doing nothing. I want to earn every dollar that we do and have fun doing it. At the end of the day, I love this breed just as much as the next man, if not more.
Sir. Sir. Um, this is, you know, kind of a crazy question, but I'm gonna ask it because what are your thoughts on crossbreeding American Pit Bull Terriers with other breeds? Can you give the pros, the cons, and why or why not should be appropriate?
Okay. Yeah, I've seen it. I've seen it a lot more recently. Um, I'm for it when it's people that's doing it to create an actual working animal. When
Yeah,
somebody's doing it responsively, culling through the animals as well. When you start getting stuff that affects either breed, especially the look of either breed, because you know as well as I do. At the end of the day, a lot of times when you cross American Pit Bull Terrier with another breed, at the end of the day, a lot of times those puppies are still going to look like pit bulls. So if that dog goes out and does something negative, the pit bull is the one that's going to get effects from that. Nobody really
yeah,
cares about, oh, a Labrador did this, or a Rottweiler did this, or any of that. So I'm
yeah,
for it. When his culling is done responsibly, to make sure the animals are up to the standard for what you're trying to do. Um, but I'm against it when people are just trying to create a fad animal. We see that a lot too, especially with bully breeds. Make sure you're taking the best animals from each breed to create the cross. But don't treat them as more important than the actual breed that created them in the first place. Man, make sure any animals that are, like I said, aren't up to standard, make sure they're fixed and then put in the correct home or environment. Get them out the breeding cycle. Uh, Never, ever, 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 ever. Man, I can't repeat this enough. Never place something that's unsafe, and you personally wouldn't be proud to keep or own yourself. Never ever place that dog, man. It's too many issues that come on with it. You got to worry about people's children and other things going on, man. You got to remove any unworthy animals from the breeding population. Um, never add something to the breed that's going to be another strike on his character. At the end of the day, like I said, we breed. We breed. I said we register different breeds with the Apdr. But
Yeah.
the American Pit Bull Terrier is my number one. That's my breed of my favorite breed, my breed I love the most. So I'm always against anything that's going to hurt the character and look of the dog and make it so
Yeah.
that possibly I won't be able to own it one day. So as long as it's
You're
done
right.
correctly, I have no issues with it. But people got to remember, you might breed the dog thinking you're only going to get, 5 or 6 and mess around and get a huge litter. Now what you going to do with all those? So a lot of it's got to be thought out, And then people have to remember also, sometimes it takes 3 or 4 generations before you get what you're trying to create from those two breeds. So you got to be with it for the long run.
Yeah. Or like you said, you just added to the problem because, they're going to go to the shelter. And when they go to the shelter, they're going to get labeled as pit bulls.
Yep. And it's so easy for when the pit bull is bred with another dog to take on those bad genetics. And those offspring, you start getting different little things. And then, of course, let's say if it was to bite somebody, it's going to get labeled as a pit bull. They're not going to take the time to test the dog or ask what breeds it is. None of that. If it looks like a pit bull, it's a pit bull in their papers. In their paperwork, when they go to, send in and say what kind of dog bit this kid or bit this person or did this and that, they're going to write pit bull. So it's another strike on the dogs. And if you can't responsibly, go through and make sure these animals are what they're supposed to be that you're trying to create, don't even do it. Because more than likely there's somebody already that has done the cross or done the breeding. Go work with them. That way you can skip doing it yourself.
Yeah. Fuck around and, excuse my French, mess around and have a bunch of dogs that you can't do nothing with. A lot of people, try to crossbreed some dogs and end up with dogs that they just can't be proud of.
Yeah, that's true. Or I've seen it too, where they get dogs. They're trying to create something, and the two dogs that they originally, or two breeds they initially started with, these offspring can't do what either of the parent breeds did. You trying to create a better hunting dog or create this, that, and the third, a faster hunting dog, and this dog came out and is slow. They can't do what you expect. Of course, you got to remember too, all the bad, as far as health wise, is gonna pop out. So it's a lot people got to think of. Even breeding these dogs in general, it's a big thing. But once you start crossing it with other breeds, especially breeds that don't have the temperament that our breed has, because a true American Pit Bull Terrier, man, is got the temperament of a champion, like I like to say. Like I said earlier, they know that on and off switch. They have that when they on a 4-legged animal, and then a person comes up to them. All the good ones and most of the breed know how to turn it off. So once you start adding other breeds that don't have that, man, you gotta be very careful.
Right there. Uh, why is health testing crucial in pit bull breeding, and what specific tests would you recommend?
Oh man, it's crucial. Health testing is crucial. To make sure you aren't breeding any unnecessary undesirables. And that goes back to the last question. But it's many types of health testing. I think one of the foremost that can be done right at home is to be honest with yourself. Just recognizing if your dog is or isn't a worthy representative of the breed. First and foremost, before you even
That's
go.
something.
Yeah.
That's something everybody can't do.
Yeah.
You
A
know.
lot of people can't be honest.
Yeah, I can't be honest now.
And that's one of the cheapest tests you can do. You can do it right at home. Check that dog's behavior and their character. His physical attributes, lung capacity. The hardiness of an animal. How easily does it get sick. Those things. A lot of that stuff can be done at home. And
Yeah,
then once you start getting where you pass those with flying colors, you can take it to the next level and start doing health and DNA testing. You got OFA screening for hips, elbow dysplasia, eye evaluations for eye conditions that are possibilities that these dogs can get, such as progressive retinal atrophy. DNA test for hypothyroidism. I mean, it's so much stuff, man. For bladder stones, it's so many different things. But like you said, at the end of the day, a person got to be honest with themselves and honest with their dogs, and get past that point. See if they're even worthy of it.
sure. How can potential owners of these dogs identify a reputable breeder versus a backyard operator?
Oh man, firstly, ask around. You know, word of mouth gets around
Yeah,
very quickly in this breed. It's always gonna be some people that are gonna be negative. But you gotta find somebody or someone that many people speak highly of and positively about. Watch what they bring into shows. Ask them for contacts of other people who have dogs from them. Most people that are breeding correctly usually spend a lot more money than they're making. You know, a lot of times people look at
yeah,
certain breeders and oh, he's doing this just for this, that, and the third. But look at how they're keeping the dogs. Is that money going back into them? You know, are they continuously upgrading and investing into their animals, their setups? And man, biggest thing, just be mindful and take your time. Like you're not in a rush to get
yeah.
these dogs. If you're gonna spend your hard-earned money, make sure you're trying to find the best that fits best with you. A lot of people want what this guy has or that person has. No, you got to see what's gonna work best for you. 10, 20
Right.
dogs might work good for Joe down the block with 5 or 10 acres, but you got a backyard big enough for one dog. Don't try to do what everybody else is doing.
That's right. Right. Man, I definitely got to have you on for a part two, man. It's so much that you know, we could go over,
Yeah,
you know. I definitely got to have you on for a part two if you're interested on in coming back on for
oh
sure.
yeah, you already know it. You can make that happen for sure.
Sir, yes, sir, man. I appreciate you taking the time to you know on the podcast and talk about the APDR and give the young listeners some knowledge that they can listen to and advice they can go by when it comes to dealing with this solid breed, man. I
Hmm.
appreciate having you on.
Man, that's nothing, man. One last thing, let me add, man. Man, I'd like to add, for people that's looking into some type of help, and having somebody that'll have your back, look into joining the cavalry group. They're a group which helps us against humaniacs and these crazy psychotic people out here who would love to see the demise of our breed, man. Know your rights,
Yeah,
They can help you with any issues you might have legally when it comes to owning this breed. So, and fighting against, different municipalities, you know.
yeah,
So it's
yeah.
a lot of stuff. Take your time, go research the cavalry group, and see how they can help you, man. And come out to our show. Come talk to one of us. We'll help you out. Like we said, the
Yes,
20,
sir.
25th of this month, Whiteville. Well, I'll give you the address and everything. It's the No Kidding Classic. Come mingle with us. Come spend time with some
Yeah,
family. Come show your
Bring the
dogs
whole
off.
family.
Oh yeah, bring your whole family. That's what we want. You, the
Bring the
kids, the
whole
wife,
family. It's
or bring the
yeah,
husband. Come meet some legends. We got, like I said, we got
sir.
raffles. We trying to raise money for autism and ADHD awareness. So, man, come out, spend some time with us, man. You'll see. It's different from hearing it versus actually seeing how we are. And it's not just me, man. It's a whole family of us. You'll see how we are around each other. You know.
Yes, sir. Y'all hear him. Make sure y'all come on out and support, man.
Oh yeah, come on out, man. Last but not least, I do not subscribe to coward culture, y'all. At all, man.
Sir.
Watch these people out here. They're trying to get you caught up, man. Be careful,
Sir.
guys. Be careful out here on Facebook and other places. There's a lot of people trying to get you caught up, get your freedom taken from you. Man, stay at home and love your dogs, man. It's not worth a lot of this back
Right.
and forth. You know.
It ain't, man. It ain't.
And tell them jokers to hit that subscribe button.
And make sure y'all hit the subscribe button. Make sure, y'all get up with Jessie on. I make sure I put up his social media links. I'm gonna make sure, have the website flyer for the show. As you know, all episodes are pre-recorded, so we're gonna be throwing all this in on the video. Well, you're seeing this on the video, but that wraps up another episode of the American Game Dog Podcast. Big thanks to our guest Jessie, owner of the Apdr, for dropping by and giving us some real insight into what keeps the registry strong and the dogs alive. If you're serious about preserving the integrity, history, and performance of the American Pit Bull Terrier, make sure you check out the APDR, get your dogs registered, stay up on upcoming shows, and keep that paperwork right.
Yes,
You already
sir.
know what it is. We're here to educate, preserve, and represent the culture the right way. Follow us on all platforms, hit that follow or subscribe button, and share this episode with another real dog man or dog woman who lives this life. I'm your host, CY. Got my boy Jessie.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir, man. God bless, man.
It's
Thank
been
you
the
again.
American Game Dog Podcast, where
Appreciate
tradition
you.
meets tenacity. Till next time, keep your dogs conditioned, your mind sharp, and your paperwork tight. Stay solid, stay game dog.
Peace.
Peace.